Hello, once again, everybody, and welcome back to the Rise Up Rooted Symposium. This is our 5-day global conversation with speakers from all over the world whose job it is to help all of us learn to connect more deeply and more regularly and in really simple, practical ways with the natural world around us. That is, of course, something that benefits all of us, benefits us personally, but it also benefits the entire planet and the more than human world as well. And so that's what we're all about learning here at the Rise Up Rooted Symposium. And I'm so glad that you are with me. I am your host for this event, Alex Strauss. And today I am turning things around a little bit. And I've asked my friend Jim Adams to interview me so that I could share a little bit about my work as well. So I'm going to introduce you to Jim, and then he's going to introduce you to me. Jim Adams is a longtime marketing professional and entrepreneur. He served in various executive marketing roles during his professional career. He has founded and launched 2 food-related companies and worked for several years as a broadcast journalist. He is also a Chopra Global Certified Meditation instructor and is currently developing a 30-day meditation program for heart surgery patients. And I understand that, Jim, you've had a little personal experience with that as well. So you'll be teaching from that place, yes?
Teaching from the heart.
Yes, Jim, very good. And perhaps we'll be able to have you at a future Rise Up Rooted Symposium in that capacity as well. Thanks a ton for agreeing to do this.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Alex. So let me introduce you to, of course, all of you probably already know Alex, but in addition to being the creator of the biannual Rise Up Rooted Symposium, Alex is the best-selling author of The Mindful Walker and the companion guide to that, The Simple Path card deck, which she wrote with her daughter, who's an illustrator and a zoologist. Alex is the publisher of an award-winning regional business magazine for healthcare professionals, and she holds a master's degree in journalism, where we were classmates back many years ago.
Back in the day.
Yeah. She's a certified natural mindness guide, founder and CEO of the Mindful Walker School of Wellbeing, and creator of Walk the Year, a 52-week program that gives Earth-conscious women the tools to make mindful connections with nature, no matter where they live or how full their lives are. And here's a fun fact about Alex. I love this. She's an advocate for healthy aging and natural beauty. She's also a grandmother, if you can believe that. Look at her. You cannot believe that she is a grandmother. She's a certified facial yoga instructor and a beauty nutrition advisor. So she is a woman of many talents, and I've known Alex for many years, and it's a real pleasure to be here and get to chat with her about her work. So we're talking about 10-minute magic, Alex, how to connect with nature anywhere you are in the time you have. So tell us more. Exactly what is mindful walking?
Yeah. Okay. Well, for me, mindful walking is simply walking outside in a quiet, present, focused state. It's something that's sometimes this term is used to refer to walking meditation. And what I teach and practice and talk about is not really walking meditation. It's a different practice. So when I talk about mindful walking, I'm talking about walking outside, for one thing, because we know that the natural world actually induces mindfulness in the human brain. And by mindfulness, we're simply talking about being present focused. It's a term that's often associated with meditation of different types, but you don't have to be meditating or even be a meditator to be mindful and to learn to live and experience and walk mindfully. And it just simply means to just be where you are, right? And I was a person who, like a lot of us, Jim, I came to this through my own experience of it. I made my mistakes. I lived a long time very not mindfully and learned what being more mindful could do for me. So I was a person, like probably a lot of people out there will identify, was constantly, what is it? Eckhart Tolle says we are habitual thinkers. We think constantly because it's a habit, and I was definitely right there. I was someone who constantly was thinking, and also was constantly kind of either worrying or anticipating. I was either thinking about something in the past, or I was planning something in the future, just constantly. So that even when I was alone, or even when I had downtime, there was this constant mental chatter. And mindful walking and my journey in that practice is what has taught me basically to live a more mindful life. And so now I'm able to go outside and take a walk and actually not have very much of that mental chatter at all. So that's what mindful walking is.
That's really interesting. And it's what you're referring to when you hear that incessant chatter. In meditation, we call that the default mode network. And we've learned that your brain can actually change and actually form new pathways. So exactly, worrying about the past, anxiety about the future, and mindful walking takes you out of that state.
It does. Right. Right.
And then, so there's a lot of ways you can do that. How did you land on this as the primary way to connect with nature?
Yeah, well, the main reason is because it's easy. I mean, frankly, it's simple. It's actually one of the most beautiful things about mindful walking, in my way of thinking, is it's elegantly simple. It's something that almost all of us can do. If you're ambulatory, you can mindfully walk. And if you're not, you still can induce that mindful state by being in outside. Just simply being under the sky does that to our brains. But, it's one of those things where we kind of all need more movement anyway. I just read a study, actually, and I'm going to pull this up because I want to get it right. But a CDC, almost 2019, CDC said almost 8% of all deaths in the US can be linked to inadequate physical activity, right? So when you figure that we all kind of need more movement anyway, and I was in that same position. I had, at the time I started mindful walking, and I wasn't always a walker. It wasn't on my radar earlier in life. I was a gym rat. I used to love to go and work out at the gym, and I did the elliptical, and I did the treadmill, and I did Zoom. Oh goodness, I did all the classes back in the day. I did what was it used to call? Oh, step classes. I did step classes, and I did aerobic classes, and I did all these different kinds of things. And I kind of got to a place in my life where that was no longer possible. I had kids, I had moved, I didn't have a gym anymore. I didn't have the money for a gym or the time for it. And things were kind of in upheaval. I lived out in the country a little ways. So even if I did have a gym membership, I wasn't getting in town to do it. And we had a dog. We had a new dog. And so like a lot of people, I kind of came to walking because I had to walk that dog, and I had to make sure she wasn't going to ruin the carpet. So I had to take her out several times a day, and I would start walking in my wooded neighborhood here. And it gradually, as this practice does for people, it just sort of blossomed. It grew into something bigger because it was changing my brain and my body as well. I mean, my weight leveled out. I was in great physical condition, and I found that I wasn't having to do all of those other things, just walking, but doing it regularly was kind of replacing all the other things, and it was calming my brain, but also taking care of my body at the same time. And I just was hooked. After that, I was hooked, and I kept on talking about it, and kept on writing about it, and kept on reading about it, and discovered that, I didn't discover it. I originally thought, whoa, I came up with this amazing thing and everybody needs to know about it. And then I was like, oh, lots and lots and lots and lots of smart people throughout history have also used walking in the outdoors as a way to maintain health, get mindful, be more grounded, be more creative, focus, and et cetera, all the things that mindful walking can do for a person. So, the more I read, the more I realized this is a an ancient practice, a time-honored practice, an effective practice, practiced by many of the greatest thinkers on the earth, but it's one we've largely lost touch with in our modern world. And so, I kind of became about getting more of us back to it because it is so simple and lovely.
Yeah. So calming the mind while doing some really great things for your body too.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, I heard you say you live in a wooded area, and what if you don't have access to an environment like that? Not every, people may live in a high rise, they may live in the city. What do you do when you're in that type of situation and you still want to make that connection with nature?
Absolutely. Well, this is a really key question because many people don't. Now, we have a lot of lovely teachers of forest bathing and nature therapy in this symposium. And these are people who specialize and are trained in taking groups and individuals out into natural spaces and helping them learn to connect in a natural space. And I feel like, and that's a beautiful practice. If you are near someone who does that, or you are near a forest and you're able to do that. But as you say, a lot of people aren't. And what happens, I think, for people, if you aren't, is that you are a person who loves nature anyway, because a lot of people here at the symposium, that is the case. They love the natural world. They want to connect more deeply with nature, but may not have, what they see as the ideal natural environment near them. And what happens is people wait for vacation. They wait till they're going to some cool exotic place, or at the very least they wait for the weekend, right? Because the week is busy and maybe on a Saturday you can travel to a park or you can travel to some other place. And you can, feel more deeply in touch with nature in that place. The reality is, the more we can work these little nature connection activities into our lives on a regular basis every day, the better, the deeper the benefits are going to be. Even if on that vacation or on that weekend, you go out into some stunning natural forest, and sit there for 2 hours. The reality is 10 minutes, 20 minutes here and there throughout your week, every day. Is much better for your brain and for your body. You're going to have longer term, better effects from that nature connection. Now, the point still is how do you do that? If you live in a high rise, you live in a city. Nature is everywhere. This is the thing people have to remember. Nature is not a forest. Nature is a patch of grass. Nature is a single tree. Nature is a house plant. Okay. Nature is a squirrel. Nature is the sky. Okay. And ultimately, nature is within us as well, because we are deeply connected to the natural world internally. Our bones, our blood, our body, we're made up of this same stuff. I'm always gesturing out the window because I'm in front of windows here. I'm always gesturing at my trees. So when I gesture, that's the natural world out there. Those are my trees. So there are a myriad of different ways that we can connect in little ways. Stepping out onto a balcony and taking a deep breath and looking at the sky, feeling the sun, even in an apartment building, even in a city, you're going to get a ray of sun now and then. You're going to feel rain on your face. You can step out into a courtyard. You can make one lap around your building and look for signs of nature. The key really is to start to tune in. See, we've gotten really used to just tuning out these things, this single tree. I have people in my community who have said to me, because when I talk about this stuff, I try to help people begin to tune into the nature near them. And I've had people say to me, that tree has been standing there for a decade and I just never really noticed it. I've walked by it on the sidewalk and I never think about it. I never notice it. I never actually look at it. So part of the key is to begin to tune your brain to paying attention to the nature that is near you, especially if you aren't, in a forest or on a beach or wherever. There is nature around you. It's everywhere outside, and we have to get better at recognizing it and then finding ways to connect with it as well.
What about, you mentioned connecting with small patches of nature. And I think that's very wise. And you're right. We don't always notice it like we should. But what about inclement weather? What do you do in that? Snow,
Okay.
heavy rain? Do you still get out there?
Well, okay. So me personally, I am what would I say? I am not a fair weather walker, but I'm a pretty good weather walker. So, for me, I am so compelled to be out there for at least a little bit every day that unless it is really a squall, I've got a great big golf umbrella. So for me personally, I'll take my umbrella out and I will usually take a little walk. I'll shorten my walk a little bit, maybe if it's raining. If it's pouring rain, I don't usually. I don't do it. I wait till the next day because there's always another day. The rain is going to stop, So, but some people love it. Some people love to be out in the pouring rain. Being in rain is actually very invigorating, and you have this whole body sensation that you really can't get anywhere else. That's why people buy those rain shower head things, because it feels like rain on your body. So if it's warm enough and you can tolerate that and you're okay with that, then by all means, for heaven's sakes, go out in the rain and do it. And same with cold weather. Now, people talk about, it's too cold to walk. Well, guess what, folks? I've lived in South Dakota, which is, it's not the coldest place on the planet, but it's pretty far up there. Okay. And I know for a fact that there are, no matter where you live, there are jackets and scarves and boots and pants and insulated things that will keep you toasty, no matter where you are. So in the winter, I really like to get outside. And yeah, it takes an extra, minute and a half maybe to put my down coat on and put my hat on and my gloves and stuff. But there's, and I don't have the research in front of me right now, but there is research that indicates that breathing cold air is actually really invigorating for the body. And I find that to be the case. Sometimes in the wintertime, we can feel kind of sluggish. And that's natural as we have less daylight in some part, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, we have less daylight, and well, I guess in the Southern Hemisphere too. If it's winter in the Southern Hemisphere, it means you're going to have less daylight too. And so human bodies, we slow down a little bit. Our metabolism tends to slow down. A lot of us put on a little bit of weight in the winter. So going outside in the wintertime is actually a wonderful way to help counter that. And also a lot of people encounter experience depressive symptoms in the winter months as well. And being outside, again, a great way to counter that. So I just do not believe that it is pretty much ever too cold to walk if you are adequately protected. And same with rain. If you have a raincoat, if you have an umbrella, I think in most cases you can get out there. And if you can't, if you were just absolutely cannot, you know what? You can stand at a window. You can look out at nature. And even that, nature is so miraculous that even that has been shown to have positive impacts on our brain and our well-being, and lower depression, lower the risk for depression, lower our blood pressure, increase our levels of happiness hormones, and make us feel better just looking out a window. So if you can't go outside, just look outside. And that's
great.
Yeah.
These outside walks in the weather can be very invigorating.
They can, right? Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's one of those things you kind of have to, you just have to take my word for it, and you have to try it, because I know I can hear eyes rolling and be like, oh yeah, right. Because you're the mindful walker and you're going to walk no matter what. But honestly, once you begin to integrate a practice like this into your life, even for short bursts of time, it grows on itself. You experience the benefits, and you feel it in your body. You feel it in your brain. You feel it in your body, and then you are much more likely to want to do it the next time, or to at least have a lot less resistance. Yeah,
absolutely. Creating that habit and then feeling the benefits of it. Yeah, it's very
right,
powerful.
right.
So why 10 minutes? You call this talk 10-minute magic. Why? What is special about 10 minutes?
Okay, well, there is a growing amount of research pointing to the fact that we only need a few minutes at a time to begin to see the benefits from being in the outdoors. And 10 minutes is kind of a level that almost everybody can get themselves out there for 10 minutes. Like you can almost anybody can stand 10 minutes. 10 minutes is the point at which benefits like I was talking about, like lower disease risk, lower risk for depression, lower blood pressure, lower cortisol levels, that's the stress hormone. All of these things begin to kick in at about 10 minutes. Now, is longer better? If you have 30 minutes or 40 minutes or whatever, then by all means, go out for longer, go out for however long you have and whatever feels good. But if you don't, 10 minutes is all you need to begin to see some of these benefits. And another study that I just ran into, okay, this was a JAMA study, Journal of the American Medical Association. It just came out this year in January that said 10 minutes of moderate daily exercise would prevent more than 111,000 premature deaths a year. Mm-hmm. So, and moderate exercise does not mean, jogging. It doesn't mean running. That's a harder exercise. You can moderately exercise by briskly walking, and that's fine. So if you imagine 10 minutes, think what you spend 10 minutes on, during your day, anything that, takes 10 minutes or less. And imagine that time you could invest in a little bit of a walking habit, beginning to develop a mindful walking habit. Now that's key too, though. The mindfulness part is very key to making the 10 minutes as effective as it can be, because you can go out with earbuds in and take a walk for 10 minutes and you will definitely get benefit, but you will not get as much benefit as you will when you are also practicing mindfulness at the same time.
Yeah, it's about connecting to that nature and putting away the distractions for a little while.
Yep.
So you've developed this framework for mindful walking, and you call Walk for Wellbeing. Tell us more about that.
Yes, I love it. And you can't see this written out, but it's walk, W-A-L-K, in capital letters because it stands for something. And I love this framework because it's just a simple way to remind yourself how to really make a walk, a mindful walk, into a total well-being practice, because that's what mindful walking can be for you. It can be a total well-being practice for your brain, for your body, for your soul. Every part of you can benefit if you are remembering to apply a few things. And so that walk stands for walk or wander outside. So that's what the W is. If you're not into this kind of walking, wandering is fine, okay? We're not talking about anything fast, so you can wander. The A stands for attune. And that's what we were talking about before, tuning in to the nature near you. This is really key to beginning to experience the nature connection and calming your brain down, dropping into that mindful state. You need to tune your brain to the nature around you. And that begins by actually seeing it, by seeing that tree, paying attention to that patch of grass, to the sky where you can see it, to the critters that share our earth, whatever it is. So that's the second one, that's tuning into the nature around you, attune. And then the L stands for let go. And we've talked about this a little bit, but of course, this is the essence of mindfulness. This is about letting go of distraction. It's about letting go of everything that's on your mind right now, of your worries about the future, of your regrets, of your excitement, of your anything. It's just sort of letting it all go. And I teach a practice where as you're walking, you take a deep breath in, and you walk for a few breaths, or you walk for a few steps, and you breathe in for a few steps, and then you hold for the same number of steps, and then you exhale for the same number of steps, and then you pause for the same number of steps. And on that exhale, I'd like you to imagine just letting go. Imagine that L, letting go of whatever is on your mind, whatever's on your heart at that moment. You can exhale it, and this is something you can learn to do. It's very simple, but it's extremely powerful. And this is now I'm going off on a tangent. I'm not going to tell you what the K is. Now I'm going to tell you what the K is in just a second, but letting go is really the key to the whole thing, but it is something that takes a little practice. And so all of these things, a lot of the things that people are teaching actually in the symposium sound really simple. They almost sound too simple, some of them, to be effective. But I'm telling you, and not just me, all the other 20 speakers are telling you that even though they sound really, really simple, they can be very, very powerful, and they can actually take a little practice to really get and to really lock in those benefits. Okay, so the K is keep going, is keep at it and keep it up, however you want to say it, because as we said, it's making this a daily practice, whatever your practice is, making it a habit and then keeping it up. That's where you're going to see the benefits. Will you feel better after one single 10 to 20 minute walk outside? Yes, you absolutely will. And if you never did it again, you'd still reap benefits. You would still feel better and you'd be happier that afternoon. But if you want to live longer, you want to live healthier, you want to be happier, then it needs to become a habit. You need the K in there as well to truly walk for well-being. And so that is what that's what the Walk for Wellbeing formula is all about. And that's what I teach in that Walk the Year program that you mentioned, Jim. So my program where, every week people get a message from me. That's the keep going part. And every week I'm giving them a way to attune, to walk and to attune, and methods for letting go of things, and a continual reminder to keep it going, because you get something every single week, and every week there's a new practice, and every week, together we just walk the year, and we're all walking for well-being in that way.
I love that. And I love that you talk about letting go on the exhale. That is where the relaxation comes. We relax on that exhalation. So wander, attune, let go, keep going.
Keep it going.
Well-being.
Right?
That is fantastic. I know we're close to time here, Alex. Is there anything else you want to add or tell more about your program or about?
Yeah, well, you can learn all about my program, the Walk the Year program, on my website, and there'll be a link on this page. Also on this page is a link to download my book, The Mindful Walker. So if you're new to my world and you're kind of don't know much about me or what I do, that's the place to start. The Mindful Walker is a little bitty book. I thought I had a copy here. I don't have a copy here on my desk. That's terrible. I should have. But you can get a free copy, a digital copy of The Mindful Walker. Download it, read it. It won't take you very long. And hopefully it will inspire you to think about some ways to integrate mindful walking into your life, especially if you're busy, especially if you've got a lot going on, especially if you don't live in a forest, especially if you're not much of a hiker. Mindful walking can be your key to deep, lasting, renewing, sustaining nature connection without any of those other things. And it can really be a beautiful practice for really anybody, but especially people who are busy. So I encourage you to take a look at that. And then the other thing that I wanted to say is that the symposium is something that just kind of grew out of my love for mindful walking, my discovery that other people all over the world are also talking about ways to connect with nature. And on my personal journey, as I sort of began to research more about mindfulness and about nature connection, I began to see these people all over the world that are doing things like that. And I felt like I wish there were a place where we could all be together and we could all talk about it. And I could talk to them and they could talk to me and people could hear what they have to say and we can all learn from each other. And so that's kind of where the idea for the symposium came from. I have just been sort of like a lot of people, just kind of in my lane, talking about my little thing, talking about mindful walking and just kind of doing my thing, but aware increasingly that there are a lot of people doing beautiful work in the area of nature connection. And so this symposium is sort of from a selfish standpoint, it's my opportunity to connect with these people and to learn from them and to deepen my own understanding of nature connection and to make connections with other humans out there doing similar work. But it's also kind of my gift to the world, right? It's just a chance for me to share the happiness and the joy that I've gotten out of deepening my own connection with the natural world with other people by giving people lots of different ways to approach this and a true picture of the fact that there are so many. You're not limited. If mindful walking doesn't sound appealing to you, I promise you there's somebody on this symposium whose work will, because there are so many different ways as humans for us to continually deepen this connection. And there are so many reasons to do it, not least of which is that the earth needs us to do it. The earth needs us and we need the earth because it's all we got, So so that's what the symposium is about. And so if you're here and watching this, thank you so much, for being a part of the symposium. And I hope that you love it. And also I'll be back next spring with more. So yeah, thanks for.
Well, it's an amazing lineup. And of course, having you in it I don't want to say headlining this, but organizing.
No, not the headline act.
But bringing all these people together is really a great service that you're providing. And I'm sure that it's going to be a resounding success. And of course, I've read your book. I read your book when it first came out years ago.
I know you did.
It's a wonderful, wonderful little book. You say little, but it's an important book. And it talks exactly about what you're talking about and making that connection. And that is so important. And I've had the good fortune to be in the mountains for the month of October. Every day I walked, I walked mindfully. And I'll tell you, it is a healing practice. Mm-hmm. And that has made a big, big difference in my life. So you can find more about Alex at themindfulwalker.com. Alex, it was such a pleasure to be with you. It's always a treat to talk to you, and congratulations on the symposium. And I look forward to listening to more of the speakers.
Thank you. And thank you, Jim, for agreeing to be in this little weird situation, interviewing me. I really appreciate it. And folks, watch the symposium site for future. Hopefully, Jim will be a part of that as you develop your program for heart surgery patients. That's very cool and very needed. Thank you again.
Thank you, Alex.
And with that, we will say goodbye, and I will be back here with more speakers again for you soon. Take care. Bye.